I wanted to give my opinion on the effectiveness of psilocybin for mental illnesses. And this is just based on my experiences with it and what I've done to treat specific disorders that I've had. So, just to give you the rundown, I have OCD and it's the intrusive thoughts type, and it doesn't really bother me in the same way that it does now. It sort of changed a bit, and I wouldn't really even call this OCD. It's just hijacking the same channels that cause anxiety and distress, and it's mainly through intrusive thoughts, but it's been replaced with fears and concerns that are more real, as opposed to OCD, ones which are usually illusions and make-believe and not rational. So when I was 16, I was able to find a lot of benefit from using like at least 5 grams of psilocybin, and I would do it lemon tech, so just grind it up and put it into a powder and drink it with, I would actually use orange juice, and this would make it a lot more potent. And after that, I would feel like it was like a reset of my mind, and I would feel like any sort of worries that were nonsensical and attached onto me were just released, and it would usually last for 2 weeks to a month, so it would be a pretty long period of relief from whatever issue that I was having with my intrusive thoughts. As for depression, I think it could be a little more complicated, because a lot of the reasons for depression vary a lot. Like, a lot of the times it could be for a mental illness like OCD, which I explained just now, or it could be for things that are real in your life. And for me personally, I don't think dosing really can take away the depression and anxiety from things that are a little more real, but they're just regrets and things that I have and mistakes that I've done in my past and things that I can't or have trouble moving on from, I think. And I think it's a little harder to dump those things with just dosing and stuff like that, because it's more of a real thing. I think that whatever I'm going through requires a different kind of work, and I've been trying to go through that work, and it's made it a little better, but I'm disappointed that it didn't really help as much as I was hoping it would. But that would be the depression thing. So to summarize that, I think that it could be helpful for depression, but it just depends what kind of depression. I mean, sometimes people are just depressed because they don't have any sort of sense of meaning, and maybe these experiences provide that, and then they feel not depressed anymore, so that's possible. But for something like healing traumas and things that you regret, I think it's a little harder. So things like post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't really know. They've been talking about how it could help with that, and that's something I don't really think I have, because I've never been in a war zone. I mean, a lot of people say that you can get post-traumatic stress disorder from things that aren't like violence related, but I'm not sure about that. I don't know, maybe. But from what I've heard from listening to like Jordan Peterson and stuff like that, he seems to think that, you know, it has the possibility of causing post-traumatic stress type disorders too. So I think that would be for like heavy doses, that people just, you know, they go too far and then they get overly scared of the experience, which, you know, that's happened to me even recently. I felt, you know, a little worried to go back in, but I wouldn't really classify that as any sort of post-traumatic stress. But one more thing that I think that it could be interesting for is, a lot of the times they say that they had a lot of success using it for terminal cancer patients and fear of death. And I think that like what this does offer is that could be beneficial to everyone is if you get to like the right level 5 experience where you go through a type of near death experience and you experience a type of afterlife thing, it could instill a type of, I guess, not really trust, but idea that there's something might be out there, and that if you were to end your life for whatever reason, you would just be back in there, and there's no sense trying to hide from something, and you should just sort of just try to work with what you have and where you are at the beginning, or where you are in your specific moment. But that's something, at least, that I think it's provided for me. I don't know if that's even rational, but it feels like a positive association, I think, that kind of keeps you grounded in your situation, and making you feel like there's nothing to really escape to, I think. But other than that, I would be interested to see what more research they do on it. It would be cool to see what people report. I know people report that they quit smoking and things like that. Apparently that happened to someone in my work. They took like a tab of LSD and they just quit smoking. So it's apparently a great success rate for that. But I think mainly depression is a very complex thing, and it could just be caused by things that you're not addressing in your life and things that you need to work on. And until you work on those things, I don't see how anything could sort of fix that for